Hello everybody, this is Monstertaming coming at you with another Kindred Fates community newsletter. This time we're looking at July 15th, 2022. To start things off, we have the Combat Arena. We've continued improving many of the Combat Arena features discussed in our last newsletter. The settings menu needed a few initial touches, mostly to make navigation between menu screens smoother. We've continued touching up the controller settings, in particular for handling flight. The joystick axis has been reworked. We've added the option for inverted Y while flying, and added default key bindings for controller in a controller type agnostic way, in addition to improving the flight controller. We've also had to make sure our improvements to melee combat were also applied to players using controllers, which is good. Some changes were made to how server characters move with the new control axis improvements in order to keep their movement steady. Initially, the server character had been very choppy movement, but this has since been smoothed out and shouldn't look any different than before now. We've made more adjustments to lock on so it works more intuitively, including targeting the character you're actually looking towards instead of whichever character is closest. We're feeling much more confident about this version of lock on and are looking forward to sharing it with you. Made changes to Crescent strikes. Ooh, that's interesting. With melee attacks launching faster and being more fluid, with animation canceling, Crescent strikes was becoming increasingly overpowered for burst damage. Crescent strikes has now been modified to have a slower wind up on the initial strike, where the user also has super armor immunity to stagger. Huh, that's pretty interesting. We'll see how that works out. There were a few bugs in need of fixing related to shield. Fixed a bug with shield where the user's shield would occasionally take 0 damage, and Hook's shield damage from array, so it always breaks shields. Alright, so Hook is amazing. The bug fix, any bug fix where there's like weird instances like that, that's just beautiful quality of life. But most of the time, you're not going to really matter how much damage you're doing to their shield. Most of the time. So it's not a huge deal. But Hook breaking shield is absolutely phenomenal. Started working on some changes to implement after this upcoming patch. One of these is slowing down the movement speed of characters casting a ranged ability by 25%. This will allow melee characters to close the gap with ranged characters more easily and prevent ranged characters from constantly kiting melee characters so easily. I applaud that. That is a very intelligent way to go about closing the gap between ranged characters and melee characters, and was just overall make slower characters have less of a frustrating time and make kiting less frustrating in general. Absolutely love that change. This also includes a fix where all of our movement speed modifying abilities were actually applying the move speed modifier twice. For example, Salamid renders Fear Feed is set to double his movement speed, but all this time his movement speed is being times 4 because it's being doubled twice. After fixing this bug, went through every ability that modifies movement speed, made sure every other skill still feels the same, but now we have the true modification values in the inspector, which should be handy for future balancing. So you're keeping, if I'm realizing this right, if I'm reading this right, nothing is going to change, which I hope, because that I think everything's pretty fine. Like Salamarder's movement speed is fine with Fear Feed, and please don't nerf Salamarder. He does not need that nerf at all. But I think that would be just wonderful as long as it's just the modification values are correct for them, but they're not going to lower anyone's speed. Then I don't mind. It's just pure positive. There's literally no reason you would complain about that. But if they are nerfing anything, then that'd be kind of weird because if everything is times 4, then this is just the speed. I've really come to enjoy the game at times 4 speed. Then I think this times 4 should be the new baseline in that regard. Character customization has begun in earnest. We have some initial concept arts. We're going to transfer to our 3D artists. Here's an example of some early face options. And yes, you'll be able to customize further from here. It's wonderful. Now, having face options is all well and nice, but I love the idea that you can go in further and customize in more detail. Presets are always useful too. Very much looking forward to giving you a more in-depth look at character creation as it progresses. I'm also looking forward to getting that look. Nintendo Switch remains a major focus for now. Making great progress. As of last week, the practice arena runs stably at 31 frames per second, aiming to bring this even higher in the future. upgrading NPC patrol paths to be much more convenient and performant. Patrol paths can now optionally set schedules for moving between points based on time of day. There's also more logic for allowing the NPC to constantly move and interact with surrounding objects when arriving to a desired patrol point. We're looking forward to putting this in action and seeing our towns come to life. Once again, that just sounds like an amazing feature. Um, there's so much that can be done for that, especially, making things based on the time of day is really cool. Because then you could have, different quest givers at different regions at different times of the day. Like maybe some guys only in the region at nighttime or only in a region at noon and stuff. And that's pretty cool. The terrain now has all the tiles that will make up the playable area. Many of them are plain and flat for the moment, but we expect to have rough topology and vegetation on everything by the next newsletter. This is largely thanks to new tools that allow us to populate vegetation and paint textures in a fraction of the time it takes to do it by hand. We also have new stamps that will allow us to sculpt with much finer detail. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time on July 29th. So far, so good. I like the way the progress is coming along, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the next one. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye, God bless, and you'll all join me next time. Bye-bye.